The pre-trip inspection for a Class B vehicle. I have 5 lenses on top, 2 at the bottom. All my lenses and covers are not cracked or broken, clean and clear, the proper color, and they're not missing. Next, I'm going to look underneath my vehicle. It should be even, not leaning left or right. There's no hanging hoses or cables that can be snagged on the floor and ripped out. Now moving on to the inside of my engine. My coolant reservoirs, or my fluid levels. I have my coolant, which is not cracked or broken, properly mounted, not leaking, properly capped, and it is between the add and full mark. I have my filler tube, which is not cracked or broken, properly mounted, properly capped, and not leaking. And this is where I would add oil when needed. Next, I have my dipstick. My dipstick is not cracked or broken, properly mounted, properly capped, not leaking. This is where I will check the oil level by pulling it out, cleaning it, putting it back in, and it should be between the add and full mark. Next, I have my power steering fluid reservoir, which is not cracked or broken, properly mounted, not leaking, properly capped, and it is between the add and full mark. The power steering hoses are not ripped or torn or cut or leaking, and properly connected. Next, I will check for fluid or air leaks. There are no fluid leaks on my engine, no dripping fluids underneath the engine itself, or dripping fluids or leaks underneath the transmission. For my air leaks, checking my air lines and hoses. They are not ripped, torn, cut, or leaking. I do not hear any leaks. Next, moving on to my steering system. I have my steering shaft, which is not cracked or broken. It's properly mounted with U-joints, and it is not bent. Next, I have my U-joints and sockets. They are not cracked or broken. They are properly greased, and they are properly mounted. My power steering gearbox, or my gearbox, is not cracked or broken, properly mounted with no missing nuts or bolts, and it is not leaking. Of course, the connections are also not ripped, torn, or cut, or leaking. I have next my pitman arm, drag link, and steering knuckle, which are not cracked or broken. They are all properly mounted and connected with castle nuts and cotter pins, and they are not loose or worn. Next, I have my tires. The top of my tire treads, they are even. My treads are no less than 4/32 of an inch, and I could check my tread with a tread depth reader. The outside and inside walls of my tire walls are not, there's no abrasions, there's no bulges, and there are no lacerations or cuts. Next, I have my valve stem. This is where I will check and fill my tire pressure with a pressure gauge to make sure my tire pressure is not over or under inflated. It is inflated to the manufactured specifications. Next, I have my rim, which is not cracked or broken, and there are no weld repairs. I have my lug nuts and studs, which are all present, none are missing. They are not cracked, bent, or broken. My lug nuts are properly tightened, and they are not rusted and have no shiny threads that would indicate looseness. Next, I will move on to my springs. My leaf springs are not cracked or broken. They are properly aligned, properly mounted in 3 positions, and no illegal welds. They are mounted by the spring mounts in the front, center, and rear, and they are not cracked or broken, and they are properly mounted with nuts and bolts. Next, I have my shock absorber, which is not cracked or broken, properly mounted by nuts and bolts, and not leaking. Next, I have my brake hose, which is not ripped or torn or cut or leaking, properly mounted and secured through its coupling. Next, I would check for the inside of my tires to check for any black contamination, which would indicate metal-to-metal friction, grease, or oil. If I saw any white contamination, that could indicate that a fire extinguisher was used. Next, I'm moving on to the side of my vehicle. I have my side marker lens, which is the lens and cover is not cracked or broken. It is clean and clear. It is the proper color with nothing obstructing it. I have my traffic monitoring device, my mirrors. I have my mirror, which is not cracked or broken, no illegal stickers. It's properly mounted to the bracket, and the bracket is not cracked or broken with no missing hardware. Next, I have my battery. My batteries are properly mounted and covered. They are properly mounted. Inside of my batteries are my cables. My cables are tight. They are not cut or worn. The connections to my cables have no excessive corrosion. I have my def tank, which is not cracked or broken. It is not leaking, It is properly mounted, and it is properly capped. My lines to my tank are not ripped, cut, or leaking. Next, I have my fuel tank. My fuel tank is not cracked or broken. It is properly mounted by straps. It is properly capped. My tank is not leaking, and my straps are not damaged or broken. And of course, my lines to my tank are also not ripped, cut, or leaking. Next, I have my frame. My frame is not cracked or broken. It is not bent. There are no illegal weld repairs or illegal drilling of holes or cuts. Next, I move on to the rear of my vehicle. My taillights are not cracked or broken. They are clean and clear. The lenses and covers are not cracked, broken, or missing, and they are all the proper color. My reflective tape is highly visible, highly reflective, and properly attached. And with that, that concludes my pre-trip inspection.